Okay. I didn't have my mic connected, so if anyone is there, can you tell me, guys, if you can hear me now, please? That would be appreciated. Okay, Lucas, thank you so much. Okay, we'll begin then. Okay, thank you, Rio. Okay, we'll begin the streaming then. Let me check some stuff. Okay. What's up, everyone? I'm Feño. This is the fall preview. We have UFC 314, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, guys. I was like very sick yesterday, so I got a little bit late with the fall preview. I usually like to stream this earlier for those of you that are here live. If you are listening to the recorded version, it won't matter to you. But yeah, this event is going down this Saturday on the Kaseya Center in Miami. So this is headlined by former featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski against rising prospect Diego Lopes, and we have a 13 card bout card, and it's looking very interesting, to be honest. There's a lot of action here. There are some good matchups. A lot of old people against like not so old people, and we'll be talking about that. But yeah, why don't we get into our first fight? And our first fight of the night is a bantamweight fight between Nora Cornolle and Hailey Cowan. Let's begin profiling Cornolle. Cornolle, a former kickboxer and Nak Muay, Cornolle is a solid striker and clincher that operates better when she has the initiative. She has solid pop in her punches. She strings combinations together and is proactive with her defense when attacking. Very flexible hips allow her to sneak kicks to all three levels mid-combination and during breaks. While she can move her head and feet proactively with good technique, her flaws show up when she's pushed back. Her tendency to kick moving backwards with her head on the center line can cost her. And movement and feint can also steal the initiative from her and make her easier to hit. She's very solid inside the clinch. She has had trouble accepting her back against the fence for prolonged periods, though. She is the owner of powerful knees and elbows from a variety of positions to make up for it. She has solid balance and grips, but she is still susceptible to chain takedown attempts. She's a serviceable grappler. She has good timing for get-ups and reversals, but she needs her opponents to give her openings to get back up. She will also attack from her back, especially with the triangle. From top position, she's dangerous with ground and pound, in particular her elbows. Cornolle is athletic and crafty, but she becomes shaky at boxing range when not in control of a fight. Her tendency to spend time with her back against the fence can cost her against grapplers. Against her, we have Hailey Cowan, a big southpaw, stiff but powerful. Cowan is active with both legs and both hands. From her lead side, she uses side kicks, a stiff jab, and a right hook she likes to counter with. From the rear side, she has big roundhouse kicks and can throw her left hand as a straight or overhand. If opponents back up, she can track them with flurries and karate-style blitzes. Defense is largely reliant on distance as she doesn't move her head much. And she's also vulnerable backing up and also during her own strikes. She crashes into the clinch a lot after combinations and as a defensive measure, physically strong inside the clinch and actively pummels for underhooks while looking to land knees and elbows. Her footwork can let her down, and that has translated into stalemates against the fence. She's able to find reactive takedowns in open space and muscle foes inside the cage. She has pretty solid ground and pound, but can fail to control opponents while going for damage. Cardio and lack of defense are her most apparent issues. Okay, so this seems like a bit of a mirror match where Cowan is bigger, but Cornolle is a lot craftier. It is unlikely Cowan can trouble Cornolle on the feet with movement and solid boxing like Cavalcanti did in her last fight against Cornolle. This means she would probably have to rely on takedowns to get the win here, and I don't really think she's the superior grappler by any big margin. Cornolle is likely to enjoy a decent edge in finding shots in opening space and dealing with the kicks of Cowan. Even in the clinch, Cornolle is the more damaging striker there, and she probably has the cardio edge to boot, so my pick here is Cornolle takes a decision. Okay guys, let me get back to the chat here. Hey, Play Voltage, what's up? Who will tire first in this fight? I'm thinking it's Cowan. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Cowan, to be honest. Like, we've seen her tired, especially against like a flyweight in her last fight. So, not her last fight, or was it her last? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this one is like a pretty easy pick for Cornolle, in my opinion here. Cornolle is a counter puncher. Yeah, she's mostly a kicker at range, but she can put some like decent counter punching here and there. And I feel like Cowan is too stiff, so that might play into Cornolle being a bit more aggressive in the counter. So that would play right into her hands, to be honest. Remember guys to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. That would help me very much. Dixon Cornolle. Oh god. Hey Ghost! Haven't seen you, man. Thank you for being here. Okay. We'll get into the next fight then. What is it? We have okay. Have Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. We move to middleweight for our next fight. We have a bout between Tresean Gore and Marco Tulio. Let's begin with Tresean Gore. A compact and powerful striker, Gore likes to walk people down, and as long as he's in control of the initiative, he's mechanically clean. A stiff jab, powerful kicks with little telegraph, and a huge right hand are the basis of his game, and he moves well side to side to corral opponents. He keeps tight with a narrow stance, a high guard, and a lead light leg to defend strikes with little movement. He can get wild during prolonged exchanges, but maintains his stance well. Volume can be an issue, and while his defense is solid, getting in people's faces without throwing much can leave him vulnerable. A physical presence in the clinch, and as a wrestler, Gore doesn't have much depth to his clinch game, but he's strong and will look for big strikes during breaks. As a wrestler, he does have some takedown variety aided by his athleticism. He can be stalled against the fence, and while he can work get-ups, he can lose time being controlled. His high elbow guillotine is very effective at defending takedowns without conceding position. He can use it to achieve top control or finish the fight. Low output, lack of defensive depth, and suspect cardio keep Gore down, but he's still unexperienced and could be still improving. Against him we have Marco Tulio, a dynamic shooter box athlete. Tulio is aggressive and feeds his opponents a constant diet of punches and kicks from range, usually putting short combinations together. He has good eye for openings, and his aggressiveness helps him push people back and allow him to keep looking for targets. Variety also helps with his shot selection, as he attacks all three levels with punches, kicks, and knees, and spinning and flying attacks give him an X factor. He's open during his attacks though, swinging wide and keeping his chin up in the air. Tulio's defense relies mostly on his distance management, aggression, and ability to counterpunch moving backwards. He will try to actively guard attacks, but he's reactive and his head movement is lacking. Tulio is aggressive inside the clinch with knees and elbows, will look for takedowns but relies on physicality and can be outmaneuvered. Not much of his grappling has been seen at this level of opposition, but seems to have a fondness for the front headlock as much as other shooter box fighters. Cardio and durability seem to be good qualities. Lack of defensive craft, his most apparent issue. This is a fight between dynamic athletes. Tulio is the more active and probably better conditioned of the two, which makes him the logical pick here, but he's also used at enjoying a considerable athletic edge, and his defensively liable. If the fight goes long, I can see Tulio's volume and attrition work easily, getting him the win. But I feel like Gore is more technically sound and has the right tools to exploit the openings given to him, so I'm taking a risk with this one, and I'm saying that Gore finds the knockout on the first round here. Okay, let's go. Hey, Jimmy Kudo, what's up? James Kendricks is asking, front kicks good here for Tulio. Yeah, I mean, they're a very good tool against someone like Gore, because you want to keep Gore at bay, right? You don't want Gore to close in on you. He's like the cleaner puncher of the two in this matchup, and probably more powerful, like punch for punch. I think Gore probably a bigger hitter than Tulio. Tulio very dynamic, but when it comes to punching, I think Gore has the advantage. Gore might be able to defend. Yeah, you're right, Lucas. Battle used them against Gore, but Gore could make the adjustment because as I said, like, he fights out of a narrow stance, and from a narrow stance, it's very easy to just keep parrying the front kicks if you dedicate yourself to it. But yeah, tactically, there's a lot that Tulio can do to win this fight, I think. He has a lot of... he has the variety here to deal with Gore, but it's going to be on him to keep him at bay and not allow him to close the distance, because I feel like Gore has way better mechanics and Tulio too out there with his chin up in the air. And if Gore connects, he has brutal power. And also the X factor for Gore, I feel, is that high elbow guillotine, man. Because if he hurts someone and they shoot a desperate takedown, that guillotine is going to be there, man. Okay, moving on to the next one. Oh, I like this one. We go down to flyweight for our next bout. We have Sumudaerji against Mitch Raposo. So Sumudaerji, a very long southpaw. Sumudaerji is all about managing distance, constantly finding hands with his lead hand and using agile in and out movement. He likes to win angles on entries to counter with his powerful left hand. Suru has a quick long jab and is a capable kicker with both legs to complement his powerful left. His footwork is pretty decent. Not only he's able to win angle with hop steps, but he also pivot and sidestep while moving backwards. His right hook, elbows, and knees add varieties and allow him to compete at close range. Head movement is lacking. He will proactively get his head off the center line with his left hand, but he basically depends solely on spacing and parries when moved back. Strong in the clinch, he uses his long frame to attack with collar ties and whistles, and his footwork works as a good anti-wrestling measure. Elbows and knees are a strong point, and he's a good striking and disengaging once in the clinch. Chain wrestling has been a weakness. Clean entries to his hips in open space usually take him down too. An opportunistic scrambler, Sumudaerji is good at reversing positions and escaping during transitions, but has struggled against methodical top pressure. His bottom grappling has improved, getting better at wrestling up and finding himself in clinch position that suit him better. Sumudaerji's cardio and durability have looked mostly fine, but the final word is not out there on them yet. Defense during prolonged exchanges and strong grappling are his most glaring issues. Against him we have Mitch Raposo, a wrestle boxer with good movement and quick hands. Raposo likes to move on the outside, employing his good lateral movement and stance switches to pot shot, move people into shots, or break rhythm with short combinations. Not a consistent jabber, he gathers reaction with feints to win time and space to then attack with combinations, be it lead hand feints into overhands or mixing the 2 and the 3. A solid calf kick helps him with disrupting his opponents and piling up damage from open space. He looks to move his head on the outside and can slip the first shot to come back with short combinations pretty well. His movement, stance switches, and misdirections make him somewhat hard to track down. He has had trouble defending kicks and relies on his counters to keep people off during prolonged exchanges. Defense inside the pocket is still a work in progress and can struggle with longer opponents trying to counter with short hooks. Not much of a top position grappler, he times explosive reactive takedowns in open space to break rhythm. Has shown good ability to use rights and ground and pound together during finishing sequences, but hasn't been consistent as a controlling grappler. Takedown defense looks solid, especially in open space where he's quick to attack grips and angle or use powerful sprawl to negate shots. He's also good at attacking grips and moving to open space against the fence, but has struggled with leg attacks with his back to the cage. Cardio, toughness, and shin all have been good so far. Problems with his defense in combination and during transitions are a concern. Sumudaerji moves into this fight riding a 3-fight losing streak, with grappling being the common denominator in 2 of those. Raposo on his part was unsuccessful in his UFC debut, being comfortably outstruck by a loud output showing by Andre Lima. When it comes to this matchup, Raposo would be wise to use his grappling threat and transitions to get inside and land combinations, but he needs to be very careful with the power of the Chinese fighter here, especially when hanging out at range. The big issue for the American here is that he's not a top game specialist, and Sumudaerji's scrambling improvements make this a dangerous fight. This is winnable for Raposo, especially if he gets going and is able to snowball, but I think Sumudaerji has too big of an advantage at range, coupled with the power and length to have the bigger moments consistently. I'm thinking that Sumudaerji takes a decision here. Okay, back into the chat. I'm drinking a bit of coffee here to not fall asleep. Okay, so those folding elbows he landed on Chanel was cool. Yeah, those were great. It's crazy that he didn't manage to get the finish though, right? Because he had the Chanel dead to rights with those. Sumudaerji spars with Pantoja. How has his grappling not at that level yet? Oh, really? I didn't remember that Sumudaerji was an American top team guy. Maybe he wasn't for a long time, but his grappling looked very improved against Charles Johnson. You gotta give him that. Sumudaerji my goat, but his grappling is so disappointing. I feel like he's improving, to be honest. I feel like his grappling is getting better as of late. So let's move to the next one. Oh, we have middleweights. Back at middleweight for our next fight, we have a bout between Sedriques Dumas and Michal Oleksiejczuk. Let's begin with Dumas. Long and athletic, Dumas plays a well-rounded game, fast with hands and kicks. Dumas likes to fade at range, looking to throw big strikes with decent sense of rhythm and timing. Sneaky high kicks and question mark kicks help him keeping opponents guessing. Stance can fall apart when putting longer combinations together, especially moving forwards. Has made some defensive improvements, incorporating proactive head movement after his attacks, and level changing and using high elbows when dealing with counters. His reactive options remain bare bones though. Dumas has turned into a transitional wrestler as of late, and he has a good reactive double leg with solid timing. He's pretty decent positionally on the mat, but he can lack damage when achieving top control. Defensive wrestling is hit and miss, relying on his athleticism and good reads to not be taken down. Dumas stays aware and responsible from his back, waiting for opportunities to wrestle up or wall walk. Dumas is a coachable fighter, but he lacks depth, depends on his transitions and athleticism. His cardio is also suspect. Against him we have Michal Oleksiejczuk, a southpaw pressure fighter. Michal likes to walk down his foes behind his high guard, moving his head side to side, fighting hands or looking to jab and line up his left hand, which he can throw wide or straight. Defense is not great, but he keeps in motion and is good at seeing shots coming, and his ability to parry kicks from his high guard is very useful to push people to the fence. Once against the fence, he's a dangerous combination puncher, measures with his jab and unloads with uppercuts and body shots that pile up damage quick. His defense also gets better when he's throwing against the fence, rolling and hiding behind his shoulder to avoid big counters. Oleksiejczuk is deceptively strong, defending takedowns, denying shots with whizzers and underhooks, and showing heavy hips and a quick sprawl when he needs to. He has been vulnerable to well-timed shots squaring his hips in the past though. He's a serviceable grappler. He can expose his back getting back up against the fence when wall walking though. If he finds himself in top position, and he has some pretty good takedowns, especially from catching kicks, he has brutal ground and pound, being notably good at landing hard shots inside the close guard of his opponents. Oleksiejczuk has looked past his best since dropping to 185, but he remains tough and conditioned. His one-note approach and janky mechanics has cost him in the past. Okay, so this fight hangs on the shape of Michal. In what shape Michal Oleksiejczuk show up during fight night. If he looks flat, slow, or lacking durability, this is very winnable for Dumas, who will probably have a speed advantage here, especially if he gets takedowns. Dumas has a very clear path to victory. That being said, Dumas is willing to accept the back foot, and Michal is good at both punishing defensive reactions against the fence and defending desperate takedowns. It is not hard to see Michal replicated what worked for Julian against Dumas, while being sharper offensively and also a better defensive wrestler. He might not come into the fight with momentum, but if the Holland fight before the dawn finish is anything to go for, the Polish is still a pressuring force to respect. Taking a second risk here in a middleweight fight, and I'm thinking Oleksiejczuk gets the knockout at the end of the first round. Okay. No way, no way Michal fumbles this, no way. Michal fumbled against Holland, man. He didn't fumble against Shidi. He finished Shidi. He almost gets killed by Shidi at the beginning, and then he ends up killing Shidi himself. That was a crazy fight, like. It was like old school one round style fight, man. That was like some like Nick Diaz versus Paul Daly kind of shit. He almost fumbled Shidi bad, man. But I mean the Shidi win is aging pretty well, right? It's aging pretty good, that Shidi win, because Shidi is doing stuff now. And to be quite honest, it feels like Michal could move up to welterweight. I've been hearing a lot about Michal's brother. Apparently he's pretty good and he fights like a similar style of pressuring. So I hope his brother makes it to the UFC. He's also 185, by the way. Man, I'm sick, so I'm like so dehydrated, so that's why I'm drinking so much during the stream. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay. We have a featherweight fight next. We have Darren Elkins against Julian Erosa. So let's begin with Elkins, a 45 veteran. Elkins is 40 years old. He remains a wrestling and scrambling machine. Janky mechanics on the feet, Elkins gives decent output, uses kicks and goes to the body decently well. Head movement during his offense is active and it helps him disguise in his takedown attempts. While Elkins is hittable, he has been hard to hit super clean. He usually rolls with a lot of shots despite his janky looks. At his age, he has been vulnerable to big shots in open range, especially if he's set up with feints. Wrestling and clinching give him an extra layer of defense. He's very good at transitions inside the clinch, mixing small punches with knees, elbows, and a constant takedown threat with leg attacks. Still a tremendous wrestler and scrambler, Elkins is good at disguising his lever change with his right hand. While he can be effective on the first layer, he's also more than content to just generate scrambles from any off-balance situation. From top position, he's not super controlling, but he works mat returns and prolonged exchanges tirelessly. Elkins remains one of the best scramblers in the division, especially wrestling from bottom position, and he's virtually unsubmittable. Despite his age, Elkins' cardio, durability, and grit remain some of his best attributes. Defense at range and being stuck at prolonged striking exchanges are his biggest problems. Against him, we have Julian Erosa. Very long, crafty striker. Erosa usually starts quick, and while he has been finished early in fights before, when he survives, he makes sure to take the lead with volume. He usually likes to walk people down behind long, effortless punches, looking for spots to sit down for hard punches like uppercuts and overhands, and his trademark knees. Kicks to all three levels help with variety and to maximize his length. Defense relies a lot on spacing and pullbacks. He will hide behind his lead shoulder and move his head from side to side here and there, but he keeps his chin high and is hittable mid-combination. A nasty operator inside the clinch, Erosa likes to work with wrist control and collar ties to land uppercuts, knees, and elbows. He can struggle being taken down off his kicks or when he allows foes on his hips against the fence. He has been hard to control though. He uses his long frame well to build a base and is good at escaping tie-ups from the clinch with good footwork. Erosa is an opportunistic grappler, will attack with a good triangle armbar series off his back, but most importantly he has a dangerous front headlock game favoring the guillotine and the dart choke that he can find on transitions and from the clinch as well. Cardio is a decent asset, his defense especially early in fights and some issues with defensive wrestling are his most important flaws. Despite the large amount of Erosa fights in the UFC, he has largely avoided wrestlers, only having faced Grant Dawson back in 2019. He has shown good defensive wrestling and grappling of his own since then though, especially showing the dangers of his front headlock against those who had tried to wrestle him. Elkins on the other side is on the wrong side of the age equation, but has managed to keep looking like himself throughout the years. As long as Elkins can force the grappling on his terms, he's still winning fights. The question here is if Erosa has improved enough as a defensive wrestler to keep this one on the feet, where he should have a big advantage. Elkins will be in constant danger in front of the long Erosa, but he has underrated striking of his own and might exploit the soft-back defense of Julian to get on his hips. I feel like the cardio advantage still goes for Elkins despite his age. And the fact that even if it was a long time ago, Erosa was basically already a finished product when he fought Dawson. Like, he's a long time veteran. He has more fights than Elkins. He has 41 fights. So that makes me think that Elkins can pull it off. So I think Elkins survives a few scares and he wins a decision here. Okay, getting back to the shot. Why does it feel like... Okay. We need Torres Fini versus Dumas. Oh, that would suck, man. I don't think Torres Fini is able to have like exciting fights in the UFC. I feel like the opposition is too good for him to have like exciting fights. I think like Torres Fini needs to drop to 170 to be quite honest. Okay, what does it feel like Elkins has fought Erosa multiple times before? I don't know, man. They have been in at 145 for so long and they fight so often, man. So it's crazy that they haven't fought before. Erosa is very sheeny. Yeah, especially early in fights. He can get clanked, man. Elkins has been hard to finish, but Erosa dangerous, man. I don't think Erosa can find a guillotine. I would be very surprised at that. But he might put him out with a knee, you know. That could happen, so yeah, man. Elkins and Emmett are Team Alpha Male OGs. Man, I remember when Emmett was like the new hot staff at Team Alpha Male. I mean, he started fighting like pretty old, but he was like the new hot shit that Team Alpha Male had, especially because Chad Mendes was like on the way out, and Emmett was like the replacement there for a moment. And Elkins originally not a Team Alpha Male fighter. He went there like when he was super old. Yeah, I would be very surprised, but it's also like not impossible. Like Erosa has a very good guillotine, and like Elkins is very old, but I would still be surprised, man. Okay, let's move to the next one here. Oh, this one's going to suck. We move one division up to lightweight for our next fight. We have Chase Hooper against Jim Miller. So, Chase Hooper, lanky grappler. Hooper has gained physicality and aggressiveness since moving to 155. An aggressive southpaw on the feet, Hooper keeps active with karate-style kicks, shifting blitzes, and decently powerful left hand. Hooper usually throws straight shots when blitzing, but he likes to throw his left as an overhand from range. He takes his head off centerline when throwing the overhand and usually closes the door with the right hook. Other than that, his defense is bare bones and he depends on aggression and level changes to keep himself safe. When it comes to wrestling, Hooper highly favors the body lock. He can try trips or swimming to the back from there, and he's surprisingly strong despite his frame. Tremendously versatile grappler, Hooper doesn't mind being on his back as he's flexible and very good at creating space to start flowing. He mostly creates scrambles by rolling to the legs. He has been adding solid ground and pound during transitions and controlling positions. Not very controlling from top position due to his flowy nature, but he's dangerous from the back take and the front headlock. Hooper is very tough and decently conditioned. His striking defense remains his biggest flaw. Against him we have Jim Miller. At 41 years old, Miller has the most fights in UFC history. Still a crafty and dangerous southpaw kickboxer, hands are on the wild side for Miller, but he throws hard and accurate and has become a better counterpuncher with age. A rough kicker who can attack the legs and body well. Counter elbows give him a good threat against fighters looking to close the distance. Defense can be hit and miss. Miller can move his head well and has good positioning, but he can be caught when set up with feints or when closing the distance. Still a decent offensive wrestler, mostly works against the fence. Miller is a good scrambler and submission artist from his back, but he can lack the ability to get up against a smothering top control at this age. Like his get-ups have been taking a hit. From top, he has very good passes and damaging ground and pound with elbows. Jim Miller remains like very good from top position. Formerly the owner of Elite Cardio, his conditioning has been more questionable with age, getting tired during some third rounds. Still durable and immensely tough, Miller has struggled when stuck at a particular range against a specialist, as his transition game isn't as dynamic anymore. Okay, so Hooper has quite a few things in common with the fighters Miller has been beating as of late. He's aggressive but unpolished on the feet and might give Miller the openings he likes as a counterpuncher. Hooper has improved as a striker, but him looking good has been more related to confidence in being aggressive, more than a complete technical overhaul of sorts. That being said, Hooper has power enough and might be the odd young fighter that has some kind of grappling advantage over Miller, so that's something to look out for here. Wrestling has also been an area of improvement for the young grappler. Miller's cardio has been inconsistent as of late, so it is not guaranteed that a longer fight allows him to take over. Southpaw versus Southpaw should favor Miller though, who might be able to use his calf kicks and powerful overhand here. While Hooper is a good grappler, he has been controlled and hit from solid top position players. If Miller gets top position from a scramble, there are avenues there. I think this is winnable for Miller, and I wouldn't be shocked, but I think on this one I'll have to ride with the momentum. I think Hooper takes a decision. And that sucks to say, man. I really want Jim Miller to win here. Hey, Valdewar, my boy! I would say Team Alpha Male is letting the metagame slip them by. I think the thing with Team Alpha Male nowadays is that they're mostly like a sparring camp. Like you go there to have like good teammates. But if you want to like succeed at Team Alpha Male, And they have like decent game planners with Holsworth and Danny Castillo, but if you really want to be good at Team Alpha Male, you really need to have a striking coach of your own. I think that's the thing there, man. I want to believe, but he's just too old. Yeah, man, I feel like Jim Miller, like from 2 years ago, like he fucks Chase Hooper up, to be quite honest. But like he's not Jim Miller from 2 years ago. He's like, oh man, I don't know. I still think like Jim Miller can like land a huge left hand on the first round and call it a day. But I'm kind of scared here. Like Hooper is like the right kind of like nasty fighter to fight old guys. Like Hooper is like kinda nasty and pushes like the pace right off the gate. Why couldn't we have Miller versus Matt Brown? Yeah, that was going to be great. Yeah, Matt Brown a lot bigger than Jim Miller though. And Jim Miller versus King Green was good, man. I mean, it's kind of started sucking to the end because like King Miller was beating his shit, but it was kind of cool though. Oh man. Okay, hurry up because I'm starting to feel a bit sick here. What's the next one anyway? Jandiroba versus Xiaonan. Okay. I'm a fan of this one, man. I know this fight probably has haters, but a high-profile strawweight bout is up next. We have Virna Jandiroba against Xiaonan. So let's begin with Virna. A creative grappler, Virna has made improvements as a striker, mostly in ways that serve her as a grappler. While she has decent pop but janky mechanics, she's putting a bigger emphasis on using feints to control the pace and remaining in a solid stance now. Rear hip feints, leg kicks, and a solid jab complement her bouncy in and out style. Improvements in her defense, especially hiding behind her lead shoulder and proactive head movement. She's still not a crafty or organic striker. She can be vulnerable during prolonged exchanges. The clinch offers a safety blanket. She's strong in there and can find strikes in transition. Jandiroba can take the fight to the ground in a variety of ways. She usually opens with leg attacks in open space. She has decent drive and can change her double and single leg, and can transition to clinches against the fence. Leg trips and laces are her specialty against the fence. And if he can't get anything going, she can drop for the legs with X or K guard entries. Jandiroba is a tremendously versatile grappler with options from virtually any position, and she has been improving her control and ground and pound. Her submission game is her main threat, and while she doesn't have the dynamism of someone like Mackenzie Dern, she does have a more methodical path to finishes. Despite her striking improvements, Jandiroba's biggest problem keeps being stuck at striking range. That and her lack of depth to her wrestling, despite a resourceful bag of tricks, hold her back. Against her, we have Xiaonan, an athletic striker with a Sanda background. Xiaonan is quick and keeps active with her lead side. A stiff jab and a quick side kick allow her to maintain her preferred range. A stiff right hand that she mostly throws straight as a part of the 1-2 or standalone during counters, and powerful rear kicks round up her game. She also has a left hook that she usually accompanies the straight right, either before or after, has also been a welcome addition. Her footwork has improved in recent years, allowing her to outposition opponents and find cleaner shots. Defense has also seen improvements, formerly based solely on distance. Xiaonan is also now better at moving her head and actively blocking. Catching kicks is also a strong point. Physically strong in the clinch and defending takedowns during the first layer, chain wrestling has consistently been Xiaonan's weak point. Her improvements in stance and footwork should help in a big manner, but it remains to be seen. Her defensive grappling is serviceable, if mostly limited to stalling, waiting for opportunities during transitions to get up. Durable and well-conditioned, Xiaonan can struggle with nuanced wrestling, and her striking, while solid, is limited in ideas. This one is a classic grappler versus striker matchup. Both girls have made conscious improvements in their weak spots while remaining focused on their A game, which is something that I like to see. Virna has turned into a safer striker and a better wrestler, while Xiaonan have made improvements to her footwork and boxing that should help her keeping fights on the feet. It comes down to Virna's entries against the distance management and athleticism of Xiaonan. This really feels like a two-outcome fight, but it also feels like Virna would have to replicate her success a few times to get the W. She can finish the fight with a submission, but Xiaonan has shown the ability to stall and remain safe, or at the very least avoid finishes against grapplers. I think Xiaonan keeps it on the feet for the most part, and she wins a decision here. Which sucks, to be honest, because Virna deserves a title shot, and they gave her like the worst matchup possible here. Okay. Let me catch up with the chat. Val says Chase Hooper development is coming along well. I think he's intelligent too. Probably will be able to avoid the danger zones Miller presents. I think that's kind of relative. I mean, maybe, but also like Jim Miller is very well rounded, so he doesn't have like super clear areas, and I don't think Chase is like crafty enough as a striker to like stalk Miller at certain ranges. I just feel like I feel like Hooper is just like too aggressive and too active at this stage, and I think that's the reason that he's going to win. I'm one of them, the haters. Gatecraft podcast. I would love to be there, man. War Virna. I love Virna, man. Do you prefer organic strikers? Yeah, I feel like organic strikers are like more pleasant to watch, but some guys that are like kind of on the road side can be very good too. Speaking of Team Alpha Male again, yeah, I think, but the thing is that Jan Xiaonan, I think she has like her own striking coaches in China, so she's like making good use of Team Alpha Male. I feel Jan Xiaonan is, because she has her striking coaches that are clearly doing a good job, and she goes to the US to train with good grappling partners at Team Alpha Male. I get like good sparring too against high level opposition that's maybe like hard to get in China, so I think like she's like someone that is making a smart use of Team Alpha Male, I would say. We're stuck dudes like CLD. Oh man, CLD is like the most boring, exciting fighter of all time. I think Virna can wrestle like Wei Li. Virna is turning into a pretty decent wrestler, man. But I feel like she will struggle with the entries. Like Virna is like shooting from way too far, and Xiaonan is like the footwork, and now like that she's fighting on a more rooted stance. I feel like that's trouble. But I feel like it's winnable for Virna, and if Virna wins, like you cannot deny the title shot, right? Oh, Petrosian beat the shit out of CLD, man. Like Petrosian was just better than him. Anyway, what's next? Oh, banger. We get back to featherweight for our next one. We have Dan Ige against Sean Woodson. So Dan Ige, the stocky and athletic veteran, remains an active player at the top of the division. Mostly unorthodox, Ige fights at range behind feints and big single strikes, forcing their opponents to lead for counter opportunities or to close distance aggressively. He's known for his shifting entries, mostly to set up his left hand, putting multiple punches together while switching stances, often attacking body and head. Ige is content pressuring or fighting a neutral space, getting into exchanges, as he is a boxer puncher by trade. Stiff kicks allow him to compete at range, but the lack of a nuanced jab can translate in him having trouble maintaining a steady pace and closing the distance against longer or mobile foes. On the counter, he's dangerous with both hands, and once again, opponents need to be wary of his left hook. And Ige also makes the most of his counter opportunities, attacking in combination and tracking fleeing opponents with big strikes. Defense is solid, if not outstanding. Ige moves his head well and has solid footwork, but can be hit mid-combination or set up with feints. A solid wrestler, Ige is constantly changing level into strikes, and that on top of his stocky frame means he's good at setting powerful double leg takedowns in open space. He can have trouble getting denied early on shots and end up on the bottom fighting to get up though. He's also content to grind singles and doubles against defense if the situations call for it, and his physical strength and cardio shine in those situations. From top, Ige is punishing with ground pound, especially if he gets opponents stacked against the fence, and his submission defense has been outstanding, having never been submitted despite engaging in grappling with the likes of Korean Zombie, Diego Lopes, and Bryce Mitchell. He's dangerous using transitions to his favor, but has been surprised by transitions from his opponents. Ige is durable, powerful, and conditioned, but he can fail to make adjustments outside of his wheelhouse in close fights, and he's usually a bigger finishing threat early in fights. Against him we have Woodson. Very tall and long boxer, Woodson is constantly feigning but mostly likes to jab from open space, though lately he has been upping the kicking output with leg kicks and snap kicks to the body. He's at his best when he gets to pot shot and counter in upper space using his strength, or pressuring opponents against the cage where he can put his combination punching together, being particularly punishing to the body. Apart from the long distance he sets, Woodson likes to defend shots with hip movement and shoulder rolls. He has good eyes, but he has big reactions, and despite flashes of good footwork, his cagecraft can be lacking, and he can fight himself against the cage easily. Strong in the clinch, Woodson makes good use of his long levers to neutralize foes with a strong whizzer or getting underhooks, and he has good timing to pivot back into open space. He also is continuously pot-shotting with hammer fists in close quarters, and his height and long legs afford him dangerous knees from positions many don't even expect. Decent wrestler and grappler, he knows how to use his length and size to wear opponents out, and despite sloppy moments during transitions or looking for submissions, he's urgent about getting back up and uses his long pose well in those situations. Woodson is surprisingly well-rounded and he's well-conditioned and durable, but his cagecraft can let him down and he's too willing to accept the fight he's given. This is an interesting fight with an absurd high disparity. Woodson has the tools to stalk Ige at the end of his jab and front kicks, but Ige has tricks under his sleeve to close the distance. While Woodson comes with the momentum here, Ige has been fighting a considerably higher level of opposition. Ige hasn't faced anyone with the dimensions of Woodson, but he has been successful dealing with height and reach disparity in recent years. He finished Andre Fili and Damon Jackson in open space, and had a successful third round against current title challenger Diego Lopes in a fight that he took on literally hours of notice. I feel like Ige might take a gamble on forcing the wrestling here, and while it could work, I can also see him losing time trying for takedowns, training his cardio, and eating shots. Woodson has a clear path to victory, but he has had trouble staying focused on long fights and playing into his opponent's strengths. To be honest, in this one I have a bad feeling that Ige might lose this one going for bad takedowns and having like a success late in the fight, but a little bit too late, just like he had against Diego Lopes. So that's why my pick is Woodson winning a decision. Okay, let me get back to this chat. Now this is Ultimate Fighting. Do you think Ige will use the methodical pressure that Ryan Wagner often talks about, or he will just fight like a dumbbell and run at Woodson? I'm not completely sure, Ghost. I think that it's very probable that Ige just like looks for spots to get like shifting entries on Woodson, and that could work, but also like if it doesn't work, it could be rough. But Ige is like very good at timing cross counters, and if he like times the cross counters and fell up short and follow up with the left hook, that could be there, especially if he focuses on the body of Woodson that is very hittable. Are collar ties entries and snapdowns a good idea for Woodson? Probably. I would say collar ties into knees and disengaging. I think like Ige is like pretty strong as a wrestler. If Ige like gets a good entry, he can take Woodson down for sure. But I'm not sure if he can keep him down. It's hard for fighters that are, especially that are like not dedicated grapplers, to keep down guys that are so long, just because it's hard for you to attack the posts that are like so far apart. This will be a story of knees and uppercuts and Ige struggling to take him down. Yeah, that's why I feel, man. I feel like if Ige plays his cards right, he can win this fight very, very easily. Not easily, but I feel like I can see Ige like waiting for spots to bomb in with shifting combinations and then putting Wood against the cage and then looking for good takedown attempts and Ige winning. I can like very clearly see that in my mind. But I feel like Ige just like tries to force the issue sometimes, especially with the takedowns, and it doesn't work for him a lot. He tried that against Cater and against Zombie. And against Zombie it was very disheartening because he was like competing very well at range and he was losing every time that he was trying for the takedown. But at the same time we saw why Ige sometimes look for takedowns, because when he got top position against Diego Lopes, he started landing ground and pound like immediately. Like, you know that Diego Lopes has a better guard than Sean Woodson, right? But yeah, man, it all comes to the approach in this one. And I have just a bad feeling that Ige is not going to show with the right approach here. Yeah, I agree exactly how I feel about this one. Okay, where the main card? Is this main card? Does anyone know? Yeah, this is main card. Okay. And with that, we find ourselves on the main card. And we have a fight between Nikita Krylov and Domick Reyes. So let's begin with Krylov, a Kyokushin kickboxer who can switch stances. Krylov fights out of a bouncy stance, looking to put his dexterous kicks to good use. Not much of a boxer, he will blitz with 1-2s or throw the odd big loopy punch. His mechanics are on the janky side, but he packs power. Mobile for the weight class, he moves around the cage well and has quick in and out movement. His footwork is decent even though his movements are on the wide side. His head movement on the other hand is lacking in basically every situation. Decently strong in the clinch, he will grab clinches after his blitzes and will look for knees, takedowns, and also sneaky high kicks during breaks. An insistent wrestler, Krylov disguises his entries with kicks and flurries and quickly changes levels, looking for to finish singles and doubles against the fence. A good but wild scrambler, Krylov grapples at a very high pace, aggressively looking to improve position to fish for submissions rather than focusing on control. This can be a double-edged sword, as he has himself been caught during transitions. Krylov's cardio and durability are some of his strongest points. His boxing defense and reliance on transitions his clearest weaknesses. Domick Reyes, the former title challenger, hit a rough patch after what many saw as a victory against John Jones, but he's finally back with consecutive stoppages of Dustin Jacoby and Anthony Smith. Domick Reyes is an athletic and lengthy southpaw kickboxer. At his best, Reyes is constantly using his footwork to set up attacks, rear kicks to all three levels, and his trusty left hand that he can land as a quick straight or a sneaky uppercut put fighters in a picture poison scenario. Particularly punishing when he can set up his counters with his positioning. His shot selection is also good at punishing exits, being good at punishing retreats with his straight shots and cutting off exits with his hooks and kicks. Defense relies a lot on spacing, footwork, fierce layer head movement, and intercepting counters. Reyes can become vulnerable during prolonged exchanges due to his lack of head movement. He's a solid wrestler and scrambler. Reyes uses his athleticism in conjunction with some solid fundamentals to keep movement going and usually likes to wall walk. An agile grappler, from his size he presents danger with his guillotine and taking the back. During his prime, Reyes was one of the most potent offensive threats in the division, with athleticism and well-roundedness to back it up. Hard to tell where his durability, cardio, and most importantly confidence are nowadays. But other than that, defense when not controlling the initiative, especially during exchanges and when closing the distance, are his most glaring flaws. This one feels somewhat like a coin flip. Krylov is quick and aggressive and might just get Reyes out of there before he gets to settle. His aggressive grappling attack may also put doubt in the mind of the former title challenger. Reyes does have a lot going for him in the matchup though, especially considering how hittable Krylov can be, particularly by boxing combinations. Reyes, despite being back in the winning column, Reyes is not the fighter he once was, showing lapses of questionable focus against Smith. That being said, Krylov has relied a lot on being a grappler against more technical and powerful strikers, and Reyes, I think even at this stage, is both of them. If Reyes' grappling and takedown defense are anything like they used to be in the past, that could be very bad news for the minor. I think Reyes uses his superior hands and takedown defense to put Krylov out in the second round. I'm predicting a second round knockout for Domick Reyes. Okay, let me get back to the chat here. What would be 2 things to tell Krylov to improve his mechanics in the pocket? I think the Krylov has like 2 big problems inside the pocket. One is that he throws himself off balance with his punches. He has like very flaily elbows. So that's one, like, mechanically in the offensive side. And the other one is that he doesn't move his head and he keeps his chin up high. So he's very vulnerable in that sense. What is second layer head movement? Okay, so first layer head movement refers to the first movement that you do. Like if a fighter throws a jab and you slip that jab, that's the first layer. That's the first layer of defense. So second layer would be anything that's past that, is slipping to the other side, weaving, slipping even deeper to the same side. You have options from there, but those would be there are many fighters, when I mentioned that they have like with defense on the first layer, is that they're only good at seeing like one first shot and making a reaction, but they will not be able to like defend like 3-4 shots. And that's something that you could see from a fighter from, like, example like Jose Aldo or Robbie Lawler. And usually, like, what do you want for layered defense is just not relying in one system of defense. You usually want to mix the footwork with the head movement, with the active blocking. So you want to start layering up stuff. Especially because the more, like, systems that you use together, as long as they are working together. We will be talking about like disconnection between footwork and head movement when we get to Yair Rodriguez in a bit. But I think as long as your defense mechanics are connected one to each other, you give yourself a better chance to not get for your opponent to not get a read on you. So I would describe it as that. I would have to think about that one, Rio. I'm not sure. There's a video on the Fight Side channel, the old one, that Ryan Wagner made about head movement in MMA that is very good. You can maybe check that one out. When it comes to articles, I would have to look for them. I know there are a few, but I don't recall like at the top of my head right now. Back at featherweight, and this one is very interesting. We have Yair Rodriguez welcoming Patricio Pitbull to the UFC. So Yair, a long dynamic kicker. Rodriguez likes to establish a long range with his movement to open up with his incredible variety of kicks. If given time and space, Rodriguez is a monster. His variety and speed and power is sure to find openings on his opponents. Rodriguez also has very quick hands, though his mechanics can be kinda loopy and his boxing lacks structure. He moves well around the octagon, but his footwork in exchanges can be inconsistent, and he can be easy to put against the fence. His defense lacks process, he has good reactions and makes sure to move his head and feet, but there's a disconnection between head movement and footwork, and he can exit range in precarious positions relying on his length. aggressive with elbows and knees inside the clinch, fighters need to be careful about something hitting them during breaks. His distance management gives him a head start defending takedowns in open space, and he can defend well if he sees the shot coming. But chain wrestling and getting caught in transition have been reliable ways to put him on his back. Off his back, Rodriguez is very aggressive with elbows and submission attempts from his back, but he lacks consistent ways of getting back up that doesn't expose him. He usually relies on exploding during transitions. Rodriguez's durability is a plus and his cardio is better than he has any right to. His lack of boxing and wrestling defense are his most glaring issues. Patricio Pitbull, a veteran of 43 fights, the former Bellator two-weight champion, finally makes his UFC debut at age 37. Stocky and powerful, Pitbull is better known for his one-punch knockout power, but there's a lot more to his game. While sometimes adopts a bouncy karate stance, lately he has been fighting out of a narrower, more planned one. Feints, a quick jab, and heavy leg kicks allow him to hang around waiting to implement his counter game. Cross counters and counters off slips are his specialty, and he packs vicious power and accuracy with both hands. His cagecraft can be passive, but his footwork is solid when he's active about it, being capable of circling and pivoting well. A solid offensive wrestler, his low center of gravity and physicality strength allow him to find takedowns against the fence. A BJJ black belt, Pitbull has only been submitted once, and is the owner of a very good guillotine of his own. His low output late into his career has exposed him to wrestling exchanges with his back against the fence, and from his back, Pitbull is good at avoiding damage and has get-ups, but can be a little too patient waiting for openings. Pitbull is clearly past his best, but he remains a crafty and dangerous fighter with depth beyond his apparent minimalist toolset. His cardio management is good, but his durability has some question marks around it, and his lack of volume can be an issue. So Pitbull finally makes his UFC debut, and he gets a rough matchup to welcome him. He has some experience facing opponents of similar styles and dimensions. He just beat 5'11" Jeremy Kennedy, and he also narrowly beat 5'10" A.G. McKee in the rematch, who is somewhat of a similarly dynamic kicker to Rodriguez, but more grappling oriented, so this might be a bit of an easier matchup. Rodriguez on his part won an interim title battering the stocky puncher Josh Emmett, only to lose to fellow 5'6" Alexander Volkanovski in his next fight. Both guys have clear paths to victory. Rodriguez can stalk Pitbull at range with his kicking, and Pitbull can exploit the suspect defense on the inside of the Mexican. While Pitbull is the fighter we associate with being past his best here, Rodriguez has also seen better days, being 2-3 in his last 5 fights. A lot of this comes from guessing, and I think the UFC debut will motivate Pitbull to show on good form, but that's, as I said, just a guess. Rodriguez can easily win a lopsided decision or get a highly real knockout if things go his way, but I think Pitbull has enough on the tank to overcome this matchup once more. So I'm taking a bit of a big risk here, and I'm picking Pitbull to win a decision, netting the bigger moments with his heavy hands. So Pitbull by decision. Okay. Another old man murder, unfortunately. Man, yeah, this one is going to suck. Like, I'm making like the picks that I feel with the analysis, but I know that it's the most likely thing is that the old guys are going to die here. This is for 3 rounds, right? Yair might not have enough time to murder the old man. Yair is so damn fast at times. Yeah, man. Yair is kind of shocking at times. Pitbull relies on distance opponents here, especially since he's often looking for the cross counter. Yeah, the cross counter might not be here because like Yair might just kick a lot, right? I think Pitbull needs to leg kick a lot here, but the problem is that Yair is so long that he'll probably punch him when he's looking for leg kicks. So he needs to be careful with the timing of the leg kicks here. Yeah, the big difference between McKee and Yair is that McKee can wrestle and is a very good grappler. And like Pitbull doesn't need to be as careful when closing the distance against Yair, because Yair will just like will not even try to counter most of the time. He will like escape. And when I talk about the disconnect between Yair's head movement and footwork, is that Yair just like he moves his head like he does like the very very wide weaves, and then he tries to like step back or take an angle, but he's like looking to the ground, like he's not making a movement that is logic to his weight distribution at times. We saw that a lot against Max Holloway. Max Holloway started like grabbing like those front headlocks to knee him and that kind of stuff. Obviously, Pitbull is not going to do that, but he might get some reads on the yeah, the hands are like dropped low completely. But people might be able to put like a short combination together and just like hit Yair very hard. And we saw Volkanovski had a lot of success just putting like short combinations together when closing the distance on Yair. And like Volkanovski might be like a bit more crafty than Pitbull, but Pitbull has like the power, man. Like Pitbull, so many times we have seen people like clip a guy like kind of on the back of the head and they go like chicken dance. It's crazy, man. But yeah, Pitbull is so small, man. Like we saw like Emmett and Volkanovski next to Yair, and that looked rough. And Emmett and Volkanovski are like they're like the same height, all three of them. But Emmett and Volkanovski, you know, they are a lot heavier than Patricio. Yeah, at least Volkanovski has like crazy long arms, right? Okay, let's move to the next one. And we stay at featherweight for our next bout. We have a fight between Bryce Mitchell and Jan Silva. Okay, I won't go into profiles on this one, so let's talk about this fight. Jan gets the grappler's test. After looking fantastic in his first 4 UFC fights, earning 4 stoppages, Silva faces dedicated wrestler grappler Bryce Mitchell. Mitchell is coming off a win against fellow grappler Kron Gracie, but before that he struggled against stocky strikers with similarities to Silva. There's a lot to emulate for Jan from Topuria, Emmett, and Ige, because like remember, Ige, you can argue that he won that fight and he had a lot of success in the feet. So when it comes to exploiting some of the bad habits that Bryce has on the feet, he has tape to watch, and you know those fighting nerds guys are watching tape. Silva has looked tremendously strong and physical so far, but he hasn't faced a grappler since Westin Wilson, who he easily dispatched, and I think we can all agree that Bryce Mitchell is a lot better than Westin Wilson. And more athletic too, by a big margin too. Mitchell hasn't looked great as of late. To me it looks like for whatever reason he has already lost physicality since his initial successful UFC run. This fight hopefully will answer questions about Silva's grappling, but by all accounts it should be at least fine, as Fighting Nerds is a very solid grappling camp. There's really not much else to say here. While Mitchell has shown some decent looks and ideas on the feet and entries for his takedowns in the past, as we saw against Topuria with a very clever takedown in that fight, at the end of the day, this pretty much revolves around the ability of Bryce Mitchell to get takedowns, right? Silva is not only a powerful striker, but he seems to be a clever one with good footwork and spacing, which will allow him to avoid good entries by Mitchell. And on top of that, his physicality will come in handy if he gets forced to pummel against the fence. And again, the footwork that I said will help in open space will also help him inside the cage to get some disengagements. I think a Michal dominating decision or submission would not be a shock because we haven't seen Jan grapple at this level, but I don't know, man. I feel like Michal kind of passed it. Not fighting as smart as he used to before, not as physical as he used to before. And even if he was on his prime, I feel like Silva has like similar fighters to him to take from. He has the power, he has physicality here. I think I cannot make any pick that is not Lord Jan by a first round knockout. That's the pick, and that's all I have to say about this fight. Okay, let's get back into the chat. I have zero faith in Yair. I hope you're right, man. I want Pitbull to win so bad here. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Jan Silva is going to kill him, man. Hey, Dr. Jones, what's up, my man? We have like 2 fights left, man. So you're here for co-main and main. Well, I just wrapped up talking about Bryce versus Jan Silva. Oh man, I haven't watched Daredevil, man, but everyone says it's so good, man. Maybe I have to get on that. I feel like Bryce will try takedowns, but I don't think like Bryce, like, it seems to me like his head is not in the right place anymore, man. I don't know, man. It feels like Bryce is not there, man. I don't know. And even if Bryce was there, I feel like Jan Silva still wins this one. Like, he has like this Silva I think like keeps a very long Silva keeps a very long range for a stocky guy, and I think that's a problem for Bryce because Bryce will have a hard time getting on him. Man, Bryce, man. Hitler before meth was the GOAT. Oh my god. Yeah, he did the right thing against Kron, but like that's Kron, right? And like that was such a favorable matchup because like Bryce is such a good grappler himself that he wasn't worried about grappling with Kron that match. And Kron still almost catch him with that. Was it an armbar? People will take me out of context anyway, so. Yeah, I mean, that Topuria, man, it was such a bad loss, right? Yes, Topuria was clowning him, and then he got a takedown, and then he ran out of time, and then Topuria decided to out-grapple him during that second round. Like, he was never the same after that, man. Topuria didn't fight the smartest fight that night, but he looked like a fucking monster there, man. like Topuria, such a beast, man. He pancaked him, like. DC was loving the pancake, by the way. I mean, he's DC, so you know he loves pancakes. The wrestling ones and the food ones. So yeah, let's get. I don't have much to say to to these few fights, so excuse me if the analysis is short, but this. Man, let's get into this one. For our co-main event, we go to lightweight. We have a fight between Michael Chandler and Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Which, by the way, this fight is scheduled for 5 rounds. Again, no profiles for this one. Let's talk into the fight. Pimblett continues his old man tour. And while I think he has made some legit improvements in this UFC run, there's too many asterisks next to his wins. Chandler is yet another fighter who has seen better days. The 38-year-old last saw a winning performance against Tony Ferguson, of all people. in a fight where he got hurt during the first round to boot. But you also gotta remember that Paddy got tired in his own fight against Ferguson and was unable to finish the former interim champion. Paddy will have the length advantage and will probably look to kick here, waiting for Chandler to explode into range with punches or a takedown attempt. Despite some improvements, Paddy's chin seemed to be up there for the taking still to this day, and Chandler can still hit. He was able to badly hurt Charles Oliveira after receiving a tremendous beating in the earlier rounds in his last fight. Paddy looked good kicking on the outside for a short period against Green in his last outing, but a panic takedown played right into his hand to take the finish. Chandler has always been good at surviving submission attempts, notoriously escaping the guillotine from the Bronx, but he also got submitted for the first time not long ago against Dustin Poirier. And the rear naked choke that Dustin Poirier caught him with happens to be one of Paddy's best moves. At the end of the day, this one is yet another frustrating Paddy fight to predict because it once again depends on what form his past his prime opponents shows up. This, I'll be honest, this is a very easy pick for Chandler if Chandler wasn't in the biggest downslope of all time and also wasn't in his post-Conor depression, in his Conor era delusion. So yeah, man. I should know better by now, but I still haven't seen what I need to pick him. I guess he showed the way to beat Chandler during fight night because, I don't know, man. Is he going to kick and get Chandler into a guillotine? I cannot pick him, man. I cannot. I know it makes sense. I understand why Paddy is the favorite here, but I cannot. I gotta go by the analysis. And I don't know, man. I think Chandler, and I'll make a weird one too, a weird prediction too. I think Chandler is going to get a decision here. He will land big shots. Paddy is very durable, has never been knocked out. But Chandler has, you gotta remember that Chandler has the ability to be the most boring guy on earth from top position. And he might use that here. So I'm picking Chandler by decision. That's going to be my pick. And that obviously means that Paddy will win by submission. Okay. This is 5 rounds, but Pitbull is 3 rounds. Yeah, it's insane. They should have made this one. The thing, I get to the comments. See you at the top anyway, man. Yeah, he's failing upwards, man. He's failing upwards. What I really want is Chandler to pull out every dirty trick in the book. Yeah, for sure, man. Let Chandler cheat, man. He's a full-on cheater, man. Oh yeah, Chandler can grab the fence to avoid guillotines and all that kind of crap. He can do everything. I think it goes 5 rounds. Yeah, kinda. Chandler is very hard to finish, and Paddy is very hard to finish. So. And I think the longer this fight goes, both guys lose the X factor to finish fights. We saw, if Paddy gets out of the first round and he doesn't finish fights in the UFC. He either gets the crazy knockout or the submission on the first, or he wins a boring decision. And Chandler is kind of the same, so I don't think the decision is that crazy, to be honest. The longer this fight goes, we lose. Yeah. This is going to suck if it goes long, man. They should have made Patricio fight for 5 rounds, man. Hey, we have Dan Albert here. Everyone say hi to Dan. Welcome to the hell of Paddy Pimblett fights. Man's process is impossible to figure out, and luck is unrivaled. It's insane, man. Paddy Pimblett fights are a fucking lottery, man. You never know what's going to happen in a fucking Paddy Pimblett fight, man. It's just some insane shit. Okay. Okay, so I guess it's time to get into the main event. Let's go at it, man. And we are back at featherweight for the last time, and this one is for the title, because we have a vacant title. Topuria is not here anymore, so we have Alexander Volkanovski, former champion, against Diego Lopes. Let's get into this fight. Okay, so just like the previous fight, Chandler versus Paddy, and the Pitbull fight, the biggest question mark around this fight comes with how shot is X, and X being in this fight, in this case, Alexander Volkanovski. This is not about making excuses or being a lazy analyst, but while I think that Lopes is an interesting challenger for Volkanovski, if this was like big Volkanovski, this is, for me, this is like an insanely easy pick for Volk. And I'm not saying that Lopes doesn't have a shot against a prime Volkanovski, but if I have to choose, like, I pick Volkanovski like eyes closed, just like I did like against like Brian Ortega or Yair Rodriguez. Lopes brings clear danger to the matchup, especially early and especially with the context of the former champion right now. The Brazilian has a hair trigger to throw quick combinations with big power, and he's a tremendous scrambler and submission artist on top of that. Lopes is also big and long for the division and is riding the confidence and the momentum of a 5-fight winning streak. While Volk got punched out by Topuria, we know the Spanish is not just a puncher but one of the best boxers in the sport, so you might want to take that with a grain of salt before picking any puncher against Volkanovski. Lopes starts fast and sharp, so the danger will be at its biggest for the Australian early in the fight. Other than the Makachev head kick, Volkanovski has been always good at navigating dangerous opponents early in fights. And he's not that far removed from outclassing Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, Korean Zombie, all of them who have similar qualities of their own to Lopes. Lopes, on his part, before mounting his winning streak, had losses to Ibloyev and Anderson Brito, fighters who could match him with punching on the feet and who weren't afraid to take top position against him. Ibloyev controlled the stand-up with the jab, and Brito used heavy leg kicks and matched his aggression in the pocket. Volkanovski can do a bit of both while using his transitions to get takedowns. We also saw Dan Ige, another fighter with similar proportions to Volkanovski, convincingly win a third round against a tired Lopes, both on the feet and from top position. We could get into more details, but I think at the end of the day, this is a pretty simple matchup. We either see Lopes starting hot for a finish, or a damage differential that is too big for Volkanovski to recover, or we'll see Volkanovski being too crafty and hard to navigate for the Brazilian, who will round out of ideas to deal with him. Both seem just as likely, but I'm not ready to count Volkanovski out just yet. I think Volkanovski looked decent against Topuria. He still looked good. Topuria, a very complicated matchup, a very crafty fighter with tremendous power. Volkanovski not long ago was giving Makhachev hell, was outclassing Max Holloway during the third fight, and you've seen what Holloway has been up to after that fight. Diego Lopes has looked tremendous in this UFC run, but there have been moments, man. There have been moments of Ortega bringing the fight to him despite being like terribly hurt. We saw Dan Ige bring that third round to Diego Lopes, man. And the Anderson Brito, the Ibloyev fight, those were not super long ago. Has Diego Lopes improved? Like, probably, yeah. He might be like hitting harder, have like tighter mechanics, has been like getting better as a wrestler clearly, but at the end of the day, I feel like Lopes has been fighting for a while. He got as a pretty much finished product into the UFC. Volkanovski might be past it. He has some durability issues, maybe now. Lopes can punch for sure. Volkanovski defense not perfect, but Volkanovski has the feints, has the in and out movement, has the baits, has the proactive defense, the transitions to takedowns. We have seen like Volkanovski navigate. As I said, like think about guys like Korean Zombie, very dangerous counterpuncher, couldn't put a finger on Volkanovski. Yair Rodriguez, very long, very dynamic, just like Lopes. Volkanovski had a field day. Max Holloway, pretty much the same dimensions of Diego Lopes, one of the best boxers in the sport. Volkanovski just outstruck him from range. Like, Volkanovski is so versatile, I cannot count him out. Before saying that Volkanovski is shot, I gotta see it. So, even though this was a harder pick than it would have been like 2 years ago, I will stick to my guns. Alexander Volkanovski wins this fight. I think he takes a decision here, and he takes the last few rounds big against Diego Lopes. He takes a decision victory to become a 2-time featherweight champion. Alexander Volkanovski, by decision, is the final pick. And I realized that I never changed the picture. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. Do you like Diego Lopes here? Not a big fan, man. And I say this as someone that used to have like emo hair myself, but the emo hair with the mohawk combo is kind of weird, man. I like mohawks. I mean, not the mohawk, the mullet. I like mullets. I like emo hair. Together they are kind of wonky, to be honest. I also like feel like it doesn't suit the face of Diego Lopes for whatever reason. Okay, let me read my friend Dan Albert. He's here. He says, this fight dynamic is for me, in short, the depth of Lopes counterpunching and ability to weaponize and enforce the danger over time. And while Volk has weakness with engagement, his footwork, but do you have to work for it? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I feel like Volkanovski might have to play it a bit safe earlier. I feel like Volkanovski would be wise to get takedowns earlier. Like, the fusion dance, yeah, man. It feels like those botched fusion dances when they do not line up the fingers. To me, it looks like that. I feel like Volkanovski would be wise to get takedowns against the fence. Like, you can, like, Lopes is a good wrestler, but if you actually get the takedown, he's a pretty much, like, old school guard player. And you kill pretty much all of that if you, like, smash him against the fence. And if he, like, wall walks and gets back, like, it's okay. Like, Volkanovski is very strong in the clinch. So, I think, like, takedowns early for Volkanovski. Leg kicks would be huge for Volkanovski. The inside leg kick, left hook change up for Volkanovski would be great here. Yeah, like Volkanovski did to Yair and like Ige did to Diego. I feel like those would be like you have like very clear analogies there, right? Like obviously like Diego Lopes are way better as a boxer than Yair and a better grappler too, but he has like kind of similar dimensions and has been taken down against the fence. And then you have Ige, who has like some similar qualities to Volkanovski and kind of pretty much the same size. Man, I really hope Lopes doesn't win here. It's not that I hate Lopes, but I feel like he's not a championship level fighter. Like, Lopes would be like the worst featherweight champion of all time, like immediately. Like, he doesn't hold a candle to Aldo, Connor, Holloway, and Volk. We have such a cool lineup of featherweight champions, man. Yeah, man, I gotta ride with Volkanovski. I think, like, as I said, like, even on his prime, this is winnable for Diego Lopes, but when you make a pick, like, you gotta go with what you see. What I see is that Volkanovski, like, still, to me, even in that Topuria fight, looks like a way better fighter than... Ah, man, that's an interesting question, Rio, because I feel like Lerone Murphy is for sure more skilled, and better put together than Diego Lopes. But Diego Lopes has a very good quality that Lerone Murphy doesn't have. He has a very good quality that, that Diego Lopes doesn't have. I mean, that Diego Lopes has a quality that Lerone Murphy doesn't have, and it's that Diego Lopes fights to fucking win all the time. Like, he tries to win like big, and Murphy like that's a safe, super safe style. It ends up costing you at the end. Like, you gotta be very good to play that. And he doesn't like. There are fighters that play like to avoid losing. Like, for example, like when you go to the safer moments of GSP and Aldo, they are still winning like so wide. You know, they're like playing it safe, but they are like establishing like a very wide margin. And Murphy and Leon Edwards, for example, they are not doing that. They are like keeping it close. I think that's not a very good game to play, man. Diego Lopes, on the other hand, like he would not have like the depth that Lerone Murphy has as a fighter, but Diego Lopes knows what he does well, and he goes for it. He tries to fucking kill you. And I think that's what, for the time being, like right now, I feel like that makes Diego Lopes a better fighter than Lerone Murphy. That Diego Lopes doesn't overcomplicate things. He goes for what he knows what he's going to do. He has like some places that he's very good, and he tries to take the fight there and dominate in there. Lerone Murphy like has problems even in fights that he's winning to really put a stamp, and that's a very dangerous game to play. That's something that I don't like. I don't think that you should dominate all the fights, but I think like it is not the right approach to try to control a fight, but not like try to win wide. And I feel like there were spots, for example, for Lerone Murphy to win by a wider margin against Josh Emmett, and he wasn't willing to go there. And I feel like fighters that are willing to go there like have a quality about them that is like it's not part of technique, but it gotta play into analysis. There is a fight that it's going to leave it all in there. And I think that's what makes, like, for the time being, like, I feel like Lerone Murphy has a higher ceiling than Diego Lopes, but he's not quite there yet. Because Diego Lopes has the confidence and has the trust in his game to try to finish people. And it's not about getting finishes. It's about, like, doing the damage that you need to do to establish yourself as a winner in a fight. Yeah, he just needed, like, Murphy just needed more output. I'm not asking him to do something stupid to risk a finish. In fact, like, throwing more output was going to be safer for him, because he was going to be piling up more damage, and Emmett was going to be less effective as the fight went on. Like, GSP and Aldo were, like, keeping a high output and doing a lot of damage, even when playing it safe. He felt like he had a limited amount of kicks to throw. Yeah, pretty much, man. Anyway, I'll make the pod outro. So if you guys have any questions for we to talk, because I'll do the outro for the recorded part. I will stay to hang around for a little bit. So if you guys want to ask anything related to any of the fights or to concepts in general, just throw me the questions while I wrap up things for the recorded version. And that's the pay-per-view. So let's talk about this card, man. I feel like the matchmaking is pretty solid, but I feel like the theme of this old fighter versus this young fighter is kind of weird, and it might make for maybe a sad night for fans of the oldies here. And we have a lot of fights that are like kinda in that mold here. Even like Michal Oleksiejczuk versus Sedriques Dumas is like in that mold of like, oh, is Oleksiejczuk going to show up? But let's do a recap. Oh, fights to watch here. Fights that I think are going to be guaranteed action. Sumudaerji versus Mitch Raposo is going to be action. Guaranteed good, pretty much guaranteed a good fight. Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio, a lot of chances to be very exciting, but it might get sloppy, so I'm not going to give it like the full seal of approval. Elkins versus Erosa, it looks like it's going to bang. Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller might be sad for Jim Miller fans, but it's probably going to bang. I feel like Virna Jandiroba versus Xiaonan is a very important fight, but there's a pretty decent chance that it's not the best fight to watch. Daniga versus Sean Woodson could be a banger, but there's a decent chance that it's not that good. Nikita Krylov versus Reyes is going to be a mess. I'm going to predict that one is going to be a mess. And then the whole main card, it's like, I'm not sure that neither of these fights, except for the main event, are guaranteed to be bangers, but they're all very interesting. To be honest, I thought this pay-per-view was going to be better, but then I look into the fights like a bit closer, and there are like very exciting fights. There's Pitbull, there's Jan Silva, there's Volkanovski. Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes, really a tremendous main event, but the matchmaking, which has been like very solid in pay-per-views lately, it's kind of letting him down here. I'd rather see like fighters in the same stage of their careers. Not a huge fan of this old guy versus young guy kind of matchmaking, but it is what it is. I think we'll have fun watching. So yeah, guys, thank you for your support. I'll be on Saturday doing Fight Companion for at least the main card. We'll see if I do some other extra fights from the prelims. We'll see. But yeah, remember to tune in on Saturday to hear the alternate commentary. Head over to the Patreon if you want to get access to exclusive content, or go to the store to get some merch. Remember that we're still selling the Body Punching Crew merch, Pivots Don't Work in MMA merch, the Dodge Combo merch, so go and get your merch if you want to support the site. And that's it for the recorded version of the podcast. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. I'm Feño and I'm signing out. Okay, let's get back to the chat here. Play Voltage says, I am mad skeptical about Lobo Gym. Yeah, I mean, I used to be like huge on Lobo Gym, like, and that's why I knew about Diego Lopes before he signed into the UFC, because I always saw him training with Irene Aldana and Alexa Grasso. And I'm not sure I like the development, especially if you go with Alexa Grasso, that they turned like, which was, Alexa was developing into like this being very like nuanced boxer, and then they turned her into this like very like stripped down fighter, like very minimalist fighter. And Diego Lopes plays like a better version of that. He's better suited because he has better attributes than Alexa to play that kind of game, but still, I'm not a big fan of that, man, and I'm not sure they're able to like game plan very well. So we still, if Virna wins, will you be mad if Hailey fights Valentina? I mean, if Hailey moves up, they should make an interim title fight and just give Virna whoever. Like, Virna can fight, I don't know, like Suarez? I don't know. but I would love to see Virna get a title. I think Virna deserves a title shot if she wins here. Especially because I feel like this is a bad matchup for her, so I think like she deserves the title here. It's not best versus the best anymore. It's old man versus younger guy. Who you like less? Pretty much, man. if Virna versus Jan is kind of boring, do you think UFC has Darren jump over for both the title shot? Oh man, I hope not, man. I feel like Virna is straight up better than Mackenzie Darren right now. Like she's winning the fights that Darren is losing, so that would suck ass, man. But I wouldn't put past it the UFC. Like you see, Lopes is right now fighting Volkanovski instead of Ibloyev, so. I saw someone last year when Shank versus Suarez was announced and said some weird stuff to you. Yeah, he was mad that I said that Virna deserved the title more than Weili. And then he was like harassing me, I mean, like leaving comments about like how Suarez was going to be Weili. And then we won, so. So I don't know, man. Very high for Jan. More so because it's Jan. I would like to see that guy fight top of position already. Yeah, but I feel like this is Jan versus Bryce Mitchell is actually good matchmaking. It's just probably not a great fight, just because like it's those, you know, those like striker versus grappler just go one way. They are very rarely like super exciting fights, but it's like I'm very glad, and I feel like that's good matchmaking for sure, man. Would you consider this pay-per-view? A bunch of names, but that's realistic matchmaking a little bit. Some fights are fun, but I feel like you could do more with some of these names. Why do all the gears at Nova Gym just use the high guard straight hitter? I don't know, man. And I feel like they, I don't know what they did at Nova Gym, but they kind of changed styles. I feel like Irene and Alexa were a lot better at like forcing exchanges and being good pocket boxers, and now they're a lot more focused about like just using like straight shots from range and then just finding the left hook here and there, but they're not like getting into like these like actual like boxing exchanges anymore. Something changed about that camp. I don't know what it is. Seems to be working, but at the same time, like stylistically, I don't like to watch it as much. I think like Irene and Alexa were a lot more fun to watch in the past, to be quite honest. Card rating overall out of 10 feels like a 6.5 or a 7. Like I thought this was going to be like an 8, but then I realized like, am I really hyped for Chandler versus Paddy? And I'm like, not really. The problem solving is a problem for the Lobo fighters. Yeah, man, it's like they have this like one approach for every matchup right now, and I'm not sure I'm a big fan of it. Like they figured out a winning strategy for Valentina for Alexa, and then Valentina made adjustments herself, and they were not able to make adjustments on top of the adjustments. It was very disappointing, man. If Mike cheats all the time, Chandler doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it really feels like Paddy will end up finding a champion if he keeps fighting like super old people. Like, what fighters am I counting on Paddy Pimblett? Like, they're not losing to Paddy Pimblett, like, ever? I would be like Justin Gaethje. Dan Hooker, maybe? And I mean, Dan Hooker, not maybe. Dan Hooker would murder Paddy Pimblett. I would pick him with my eyes closed. But you know why they are not making that fight. Like, they are not making Dan Hooker versus Paddy Pimblett. Will this card have Donald Trump? Yeah, probably. I mean, it's like, this is like the official sport of the U.S. government right now. So, of 155, this seems to be having like some new interesting fighters. Not as good as the old ones. Like, I'm going to miss, like, Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje so much, man. They were so fucking good, man. And before that, we have, like, Tony and Dos Anjos. Like, 155 was the land of the greats. But the new fighters, there are some that are pretty good. There are, like, some new fighters to get excited about. Not Paddy Pimblett, obviously. But there are some But yeah, I mean, I feel like they're in that transition period. And if like Topuria becomes champion, like I would be hype. I like Topuria a lot. I mean, not as a person, but as a fighter, I feel like Topuria is like, I cannot complain about watching that guy fight, man. I love watching that guy fight. He's tremendous. He's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, 155 might be in a weird place, but if we end up seeing like Topuria versus Makhachev, that's one of the best fights that you can make in the sport. So yeah, man, like give me that fucking Topuria fight. I heard a rumor that they are waiting. They're waiting for Jack Della versus Belal, because they are saying that if Jack Della wins the title, Makhachev wants to move up, so they would make like Topuria versus Oliveira for the title. And if Belal wins, Makhachev is staying at 155, and they are making Topuria versus Makhachev. Is Belal a good game planner? It seems like the game plan for Leon Edwards was pretty good. Gotta give him that. And he has been winning. Like he has been winning with sticking to game plans. So yeah, I would say so. Good for the camp of Belal, man. I mean, it's a funny meme, the Islam wins against 145ers, but like, I feel like Dustin is a very legit 155er. Like he was at 145 like million years ago. He's pretty big now, so that one is legit. Moicano was heavier than Makhachev, so I feel like that Moicano featherweight, and it's funny to say, but it's not really true, right? Volkanovski, that one is fair. Volkanovski should have never taken that second Makhachev fight, man. That was so dumb to do. Why would you help the UFC like that? Yeah, the issue with the Moicano win is that it's Moicano. That's exactly the issue with that win. Like, what are you doing fighting Moicano? I mean, I understand it was like last minute replacement. They should have given that fight to Benny, man. I don't understand why they didn't give the fight to Benny. The Dariush was a better fight for Makhachev than Ernesto Hust, Mr. Perfect for sure, man. Might have to do some clips of Mr. Perfect hitting the Dutch combo to sell some t-shirts. Oh, I'll check it out. I'll check it out soon, man. Elvis Brenner will have the wildest run in the UFC, man. Like, he killed, like, Kutateladze just before he turned into the worst fighter of all time. And then he got killed by Alvarez. Also, Brenner looked like shit against Oralby. Was it Oralby? Yeah. And then he still had like a competitive third round out of nowhere after getting his ass kicked. Like, Elvis Brenner is an unserious fighter, man. He can be very good, but he's an unserious guy, man. Unserious person, Elvis Brenner, man. Yeah, man. He's kind of young too, right? I don't know how I have this idea that Elvis Brenner is kind of old. Maybe because he was like balding, but he got a hair implant, right? He's only 27 and 21 fights in. Okay, he can still get there. I mean, not like he can't be champion. I don't think his ceiling is that high, but he can put his shit together, probably. But I feel like he has been looking like in his last 2 fights he looked like the weight cut was killing him. Yeah, man, I agree, man. Should fighters use PEDs to recover? I mean, they are using PEDs to recover, man. I have to be honest, my views on PEDs is that I don't judge fighters that use them because I feel like pretty much everyone uses them. So you gotta use them to be on a playing field. The problem with PEDs is that a lot of them have like side effects to your health. So it kind of sucks that fighters are like forced into doing them. Especially now that they don't have USADA anymore, right? Like, everyone is using like crazy. So it kind of sucks because like MMA already puts you in danger. So the thing that they are risking their health like even more to using PEDs kind of sucks. It would be a lot better if they just made the like PEDs legal. And they could have access to like actual doctors, like monitoring their health and that kind of stuff and their doses of PEDs, and maybe they would be able to use PEDs in a healthy way if it was like that. But that's not the case. Like they have to use PEDs at the same time, like trying to not get caught. That's kind of complicated like that. But yeah, man, I think that's. But yeah, I mean, I feel if you feel like you need them to recover as a pro fighter and everyone else is doing them, go ahead, man. Ellis Brenner is fighting Hoover, man, and I feel like he's going to get spanked again, especially if he looks like I feel like Brenner is going to get spanked if he looks like he looked like last time, like weight cut and shit. Like, so Hoover is going to do pretty much the exact same shit that Alvarez did to him. It feels like. What's the next 155 prospect that is already in the UFC? That's a great question, man. Who is the most exciting 155er in the UFC right now? Like, Sarukian is like too high profile right now to count him, right? So I'll just say some guys that I think are like interesting. Oh man, this is like all men land right now. For example, like Chase Hooper and Ignacio Bahamondes are some of the youngest guys at 155, and I don't feel like either of them are like championship material at all. Like at all, man. Not even close. Wrong shoe, the same. Like, he's cool, but he's not championship material. But I feel like I don't like anyone to be like the next big prospect, to be quite honest. Nah, I don't feel like Sadikov has that high of a ceiling. He's cool though, and he's very athletic, so maybe if he improves a little bit. Sadikov is cool, man. Yeah, he has that physicality, man. I might have to do a video talking about the divisions, man. It seems like a fun topic to talk about. Man, I saw Puelles fighting live here in Chile. He mounted an insane comeback. I don't remember who was the the Brazilian fighter that he fought. He's someone that is not with the UFC anymore. But this Brazilian guy was beating the shit out of Puelles for the first 2 rounds. And then Puelles got like a crazy leg lock on that 3rd round. It was like early in the fight here in Santiago. If you people don't know, like here in Chile, people are very xenophobic against Peruvians for whatever stupid reason. But it was earlier, so there was like some Peruvian fans that traveled exclusively to see Puelles. And a lot of people there, we were like rooting for Puelles. And we went crazy when Puelles won, man. It was great. The atmosphere at the beginning of the event was great. That was the first fight of the night. Then all the normies like filled the arena, and it got a lot worse. It got a lot worse. Like it was louder, but it was not as fun anymore. When it was just like people like just chanting stupid shit later in the night. And when it's not like being elitist, but I feel like we were like the real fans and guys who trained early for the prelims. And we were having a great time, and we were going crazy for Puelles, man. We went crazy for Pantoja beating the shit out of Brandon Moreno too, man. If you guys have not seen the Pantoja versus Moreno in UFC Santiago, like Pantoja beat the shit out of him, man. It was fantastic. Yeah, Puelles, it seems like he's in the UFC still. Like he's listed in the Wikipedia article. But yeah, I consider talking about divisions, like a video for every division. I'll consider doing that. I guess I'll leave now because it's kind of late right now. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I thought people were not going to show up for this stream because I did it so late. But I'm glad you guys did. I appreciate it so much, guys. Remember, Saturday, Fight Companion. We're going to have fun watching the fights. And yeah, I mean, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the other channel because I'll be posting stuff there. Check out the shorts if you want to have fun watching stuff. And I'll catch you guys later. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And that's it. Bye.